Good morning and welcome. Happy Tuesday, everybody. And welcome to LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, wherever you're watching us right now. I am happy today. We are talking all about community building it's all about connecting and thriving. And I brought on the show today someone who I really respect in this go-to-market space, Nehul Goradia, the CEO of Enabler. Glad to have you here on the show this morning. Thanks, Nehul, for joining us.
Well, thank you so much, Rachel, for having me. Right, it's always good to have a chat with you. It's been years since our last chat, kind of thing, I would say. So it's always good to be back and
That's okay. Our
chat.
relationship goes back years.
Yeah, many years.
Right? I say, when you live in Dubai, people tend to stick around, and I mean, we must go back at least 10 years, if not more. Just being in the same space, and what something that I've really respected that you've been doing is really helping brands go to market and get to their customers and understand channel and understand how to expand and scale. But more importantly, something that you do very uniquely, and that's why I've invited you here today, is to talk about how the community building plays such a crucial part of that communication. And so I want to tap right into that because you know what you're doing, and let's share it with the audience. We got everyone from business owners to sales professionals to entrepreneurs listening in to get some tips today. So let's just jump on in. What do you think?
Perfect. Let's do that.
Cool. So let's first start at the beginning. Why, or how can community building really contribute to sales? What's your opinion about that?
There are various ways, right? I mean, it creates brand resonance to a very large extent, right? It creates a sense of ownership with that particular brand and with that particular community as a whole. Uh, but then when you look at the larger perspective, Rachel, there are so many types of communities that are being built today, right? Whether they are partnership communities or whether they are peer-to-peer networking communities, whether they are user group communities. I mean, communities are being created quite frequently, and they have been around for a very long time. And it's a very, very powerful tool to have within your sales, brand marketing, portfolio, because you're creating these groups, you're creating this community of people who are aligned for a common objective to a larger extent, and that's the core, right? I mean, I know you've asked me from a sales standpoint, but I always say if you wish to deliver on sales through that community, the community needs to get something back, right? Whether it's they need to be heard if it's a user group or a partner group, whether it needs to be they need to learn something new if it's a peer-to-peer networking group, but they need to get something back, and that's where the whole connections get built deeper, and subsequently, of course, it leads to sales.
Well, no doubt, like connectivity, it's all about connectivity. And so, this connectivity for sales is crucial, right? And so, what is the right way, the wrong way? What are some of the measures that you've kind of taken to create a community? Because, when people say community, it's like, where do I start? Where do I start?
Sure. Well, as you know, I run the Middle East Tech Marketeers Network, right? It's a community of professionals within the marketing function focused on the B2B technology sector and focused in on Middle East as a market, right, as a region. Uh, the and various lessons learned in the last 3+ years, right? I mean, I'm happy to have you as a community member, right? And these are lessons learned over the last 3+ years that the community's been in existence, where each community member needs to get involved, right? That's one of the first things. That's one part of it, right? Because it's not just becoming a member and then what, right? So even when we were creating the community or the ideation came for the community, and which was in a very funny manner because I thought I didn't know many marketing professionals within our industry. And then I was corrected by one of our other community members saying, no, you do know quite a few. And I said, hey, but why aren't we talking to each other then? Why aren't we collaborating? Why aren't we learning from each other? Best practices, and so on. And that's kind of something that gives something back to the community was the first key aspect that the community was built on. Are we going to gain something back? Is everyone going to learn something, meet someone new, right? Maybe get a better job offer if that's what they're looking for within the space that they are building their profession and careers around. The second part that was core again within that particular community was no selling internally, right? Don't sell yourself, sell your firm, sell your service, sell your product, but learn, right? Ask or share knowledge proactively, right? Don't be called out to share that knowledge. Share it proactively. If somebody's asking a question, and it's been brilliant, right? I mean, I see the questions sometimes that come up, and within seconds we've got responses from the whole community, and that's a great sense overall. The third part that we've kind of looked at is building that sense of ownership. So it's, yes, I've created the group, but it's not my group alone, right? I'm just one of the cogs now within that whole group, right? Everyone is the owner of that group, and that's something that I've seen in a lot of other community groups that I'm a member of, or I've been part of, or I've been part of founding them, that you kind of lose that, right? If people don't feel that they own the community, which means they're always, I mean, we are all humans, right? We typically don't put our hands up first. We never did it in school. Why would we do it now, right? But if you create that sense of comfort within them, right? That sense of safety, that, you know what, you're not gonna be called out, right? You're not gonna be shamed. You're not gonna, your opinions matter, even if it's a question that you feel it's stupid, but you've not understood what we're talking around, or you want to ask. There are maybe 10 others in the same boat, right? Raise your hand, ask the question, ask the opinion. And I think that's the key for a successful community, I believe, right? I mean, everyone feels that safety, that comfort factor, that ownership, sense of ownership, that it's mine and I can explain or I can share what I need to share.
Amazing. So safety is no doubt something humans, all of us, need and desire, and that's a big goal. Now, what about measurement? How do you know what should you be looking at when you engage with the community of like whether or not it's really working? I mean, it's not just attendance, right? But how do you measure, or what do you measure? What do you look at to really see the impact? Right? I mean, I can't tell you
So
how many
there are
people
various
go
things.
networking and maybe they don't get the results, but in a community building kind of thing, what kind of expectations should people have? Right?
Well, I think I would say there are. It depends on why the community was built, right? So let's take the peer-to-peer network group that we run out here. It's about knowledge share. It's about networking with your other professionals within the same industry, right? So are you gaining that? Are you able to network, right? That's one core layer of measurement. That are you achieving the core objectives for which the community was created? As you very rightly said, right? I mean, we do a lot of sessions ourselves. We do events, right? We do these sessions, the knowledge share sessions. We do offline meets. Well, it hasn't happened in the last few months, but yeah, we kind of think. But it's about how many. Every time, my only core thought is how many new people are joining us for these sessions, right? It's not just the same set of say 8, 10 people who are really active, but let's say if the community has 50, 60, 70 people, how many of those others are joining frequently in these sessions? That's the base measurement to see if the community is really achieving the goals that it has to, right? I mean, others are gaining overall, or everybody's gaining overall. If you look at user groups, customer groups, or partner groups, right? I mean, and there are partner groups that are there, which then you're looking at measurement from the perspective that are these partners sharing customer insights, market insights, industry trends, sharing what the customers are asking them for these. So, like I know a lot of global brands who run these partner communities, and they run user communities of their end users or their partners who either sell or are buying their products and solutions and services. And the objective for both is different. Customer groups is the customer satisfaction measurement. Customer groups is listening to the customer, saying, are you, if the customer share that I need a tweak, right? Your product needs to change, or You're not doing what the others in the market are doing, and I will not be happy in the long run. Or so there are various parameters to measure the success of that particular community vis-a-vis. So there's no simple thumb rule. There's no technology which allows us to measure, right? I mean, the core tenet for any community success measurement, I would say, is it hitting the core objectives for which that community was built? If yes, it's successful. If not, then still a lot of work needs to go in to make it successful once again.
So definitely food for thought, because all that effort of coordination and invitation and getting the right people. I mean, it's not something that you can just do in 2 seconds, but there has to be, I believe, a strategy with it, and how to do it and what you're
Yes.
looking at is really important. And not only the attendees, but how much repeat they actually attend. So really, it's about the value and the content. Dude, there's so much. Nahul, you're doing it well. I know this is only 15 minutes of our Tuesday, so it goes by so quickly. I just want to leave our listeners with three top tips they can think about today. If creating a community, becoming part of a community, or even developing a community in your near future for your business connectivity, what do you think you can leave our community with? What are things they need to know and they can implement immediately when building these communities?
Planning is the first spot, right? Plan why the community is being built, right? Plan the kind of members you want to bring into the community. Plan the consistency of activities that the community is going to do. So planning is core, right? It's not something that one should embark on, lightly, because if it fails, it's going to deter others to create something similar, or at the same time deter members to come back and become part of that journey again, right? So planning is core. Uh, Patience and perseverance, I would say, is the second part of it. Rome wasn't built in a day. The community is not going to grow overnight. Community is not become successful overnight. As long as your planning is right, as long as your planning is a child that you're able to tweak, you're listening to your members, you're tweaking from that constantly. What are they asking for? Why did they become members? What are they looking for? And then accordingly you're constantly tweaking with that same patience. It will happen, definitely. The last, I would say, as a point is for the members, take ownership, right? You became the member for a reason, right? You wanted to gain something, either a network of professionals that you could rely on or engage with, whether it's for business or for knowledge, for whichever reason. Or you became a member to get a better job, or you became a member to get a new business, or to learn new technologies, new processes, new methodologies, new things. But it won't happen if you're a silent spectator, right? It won't work. You won't gain beyond a certain point. Each and every member has to have that sense of ownership within them to actually contribute towards the better good, or the larger good of the community, and not just a few certain individuals. So I think these three things are core points that, and I think it's the community builder's role also to build that comfort factor in the members, that everyone feels it's okay to contribute. But yes, members also need to take responsibility to contribute.
So I love that. You got your three P's: patience, planning, or planning, patience, and participation, right? And so
Yeah.
that those are the three tips by Nahul, the co-founder of Enabler One, and we are talking about someone who's been successful in creating community, understands what's needed to keep people coming back, understanding value. And we got our first question of the day. I'm going to throw it up here because we got a minute left. LinkedIn user says, thank you so much for inquiring and joining the conversation. So, in my opinion, embracing diversity of thought should be at the core of community building. With this principle is often championed in theory. Do you believe it's generally upheld by organizations in practice? And if not, what steps do you think should be taken to foster this change? Good question. Thank you so
It's
much
a
to
great
LinkedIn.
question.
What do you got? What do you got?
it's a it's a great question. Is it upheld every time, everywhere? No. It's honestly practically not possible. Also, I would say the whole expectation that if you've got 100 members, all 100 members will be heard, right? Which means 100 different directions that the community is going to go into, right? I'm going to rope it back to the same thing for the purpose, the objective for which that community was built. As long as it's adhering to those objectives, yes, everyone should be given a chance to share their thoughts and bring it to that. But at the end of the day, we are all humans, right? We'll go in 100 different directions. It's just it's practically not possible for us to. I know, and I'm gonna be. It's politically incorrect for me to say it this way, but it's a fact, right? It's not possible for everybody to be heard. But how do you foster that change? Again, I'm going to say is with participation, right? A lot of us don't participate. We are silent spectators. We don't share thoughts, knowledges, ideas. Even a new activity, we want the community to do a different direction the community needs to go. Share it. The first part is participating and sharing. If you don't do that, when we sit back and think it's not the way, the direction is not the way I wish the community to go, or my thoughts aren't being heard. Well, you aren't sharing, and not sharing it once and then silent. Share it consistently, right? Explain why that diversity needs to be happening, right? Why you think the community needs to do things differently. But it's extremely critical. So I will come back to the last point, which we were talking about participation. It is extremely critical to make that change happen.
Well, you won't believe it. It's always at the end that questions start jumping in. People finally warm up a little bit. I don't want to rip off the band aid too soon. So I'll throw another one out there for you. I mean, now's the time for the listeners to jump in, get insight from experts that are on Smart Impressions. And here's another great question. Mayura, thank you so much. She's asking about brands and community groups. How do brands leverage this for soft selling or brand awareness? Or
I think it's a
surveys. She
great.
even adds more. So there are tons of ways that brands can leverage this. Nahul, take it away. What do you
There,
got?
well, there's so many ways, right? I know quite a lot of brands, as I was talking about, which run user groups, which run partner groups, right? And it's common across industries. It need not just be. I have a my background is B2B tech, right? So, which is where I have worked in across or been part of various communities, but I'm aware that so many other industries have these community groups available. Whether we're talking, when I say user groups, right? I mean, you've got hundreds of customers who buying, consuming your product, your services. Bring them together, right? But the point is to not so. That's a great brand awareness because they automatically feel ownership of the brand that they've bought into, right? That they're part of a group of hundreds of others who have been buying and consuming the same product or service. It's brilliant. Soft sell automatically happens, right? Upsell, cross sell automatically happens because you've created this group of people who've already bought into you. Now it's just a matter of upselling and cross selling into them. But it wouldn't happen if you're not listening to them again, right? So if you gotta listen to what their thoughts are, why they are unhappy with something or happy with something, and then imbibe them into the broader organization that they've kind of bought into. Similar from partner groups, right, or investor groups, or functional groups, right? As I said, I run the marketing group within Middle East, but there are groups which are created by brands, which allow a broader, engagement across industry, right? And that is always brilliant for brand building or even soft selling. I would say sometimes even hard selling happens, but yeah, it's great.
Well, amazing, amazing insight from Nahul. Can't thank you enough for being here. Really appreciate it. We've gone 5 minutes over. We keep it short and sweet, New York style, just to give you a little Tuesday tips of how to increase your human connections through Smart Impressions with Rachel. So thanks to my guest, Nahul. Thank you so much again for sharing your
Thank you for
insight
having
with
me.
our team and our community that's online through all these platforms. We're unlocking business relationships one connection at a time. And I hope that you found some insight with Nahul today. Build your own community and start connecting effectively, right? So thanks again. We'll see you next Tuesday. Have a fabulous, successful
Thank you,
day.
everybody. Thank you, Rachel, for having me.
Absolutely. See you again soon.